Hey everybody, Bill here from A Gamer Looks at 40, and thank you for clicking on this episode. There are a lot of changes coming to the show in January, so if you clicked on this, you're a fan and a friend, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me share about some changes, because there are some new things a-coming and adjustments being made. So I'm going to get the unfortunate one out of the way first. I'm just going to get it out there to, get it out there. The show, so when I first devised the show, it was a very different concept than what it is now. I was intending to go through year by year and talk to people about video game years as opposed to topics. And I very quickly realized people don't think of things in terms of years, right? They don't think of things that way. They think of it in terms of moments and systems and games, and they're wrapped around eras. And the initial idea was to do a show once every 2 weeks. I very quickly realized in order to get any sort of momentum, it would have to be every week, because the shows themselves were smaller. They were under an hour, and it's very hard to substantiate a show if you only do it once every 2 weeks. But now things have changed. There's more people wanting to be on the show, which is a good thing. There's more voices. The topics are getting bigger. There's just a lot more stuff involved. And this is a very time-intensive show to make. It's not one of those shows where I talk with a buddy for an hour, edit out the pauses and then the stupid things I say, and then put it out there. It's a very involved process. There's interviews that take time, and then I'm cutting down interviews, and then I'm using interview pieces as pieces to the puzzle to make these episodes. It's a lot. So starting in January, we are going to a bi-weekly format again. So no longer having shows every week. It's going to be shows every 2 weeks. What that allows me to do is have time for other things in life, just life stuff. When I go on shows and guest on different podcasts, people will ask, "Oh, hey, what are you playing or watching?" And my answer is usually nothing. When I'm not working or taking care of the kids, I'm doing this show because it is so time intensive, and I'd like to have more room to breathe for that real life stuff, to create a bit more balance, which is really important. I got 2 kids, and they're demanding, as kids are, and I have a wife that I care about and love dearly, and I want to spend time with, and doing a show once a week is just not sustainable anymore, because what'll happen is I'll just stop doing them. And I don't want to create a situation where I'm just not doing shows on a regular basis. So long story short, shows are now going to a bi-weekly format. Again, for just family, playing games, doing other things, and pursuing other interests. The good news with that is, since I now have a little more space in the schedule to make up for that lack of weekly content, I'm going to be starting to stream on Twitch every Tuesday at 8:30 CST. Once a week, guaranteed stream. I jump on at 8:30. I hang out till midnight CST. You come on, you hang out, you chat. It'll be a great way for me to connect with you on a more personal level via a Twitch stream. I'll play game. There's no real format for the games I'm going to play. I'm just going to play what I'm playing right now. Right now I'm almost done with Metroid Dread. If I was streaming on Tuesday, I'd just play some Metroid Dread, or play a random retro game. And we can also expand the format and do other fun things with it. At first, we have very basic Twitch stream. I don't know how to do emotes and fancy backgrounds and overlays. I'm extremely basic, but I do hope to build that out as the weeks go on. So, shows every 2 weeks, streaming on Twitch every Tuesday at 8:30. Thirdly, and this is going to be the one that's a little weird for me. I am very, very hesitant about this, but I think it's time. I have a Patreon. Patreon.com/A Gamer Looks at 40. I've had this account open since July, but I haven't promoted it, and I haven't put it out there because I didn't feel the time was right. I mean, every show you listen to has a Patreon, and every show wants you to donate. And I understand that money is tight for a lot of people. As a result, no episode of A Gamer Looks at 40 will ever be behind a paywall. Ever. The core episodes of this podcast will be free forever. That is never going to change. What you get with your Patreon, of course, are perks and bonuses. But I want to make that super clear. I think this show needs to be for everybody, needs to be enjoyed by everybody, regardless of whether you can kick me a couple bucks or not. So that's just my personal belief. That's just how I kind of roll. That's just me. I doubt that's ever going to change. I think that's a core value of the show. However, if you choose to support me on Patreon, I always see that as like a donation. Like you dig the show, you want to see it grow. I'll talk about what I plan to do with whatever funds I receive. I'll talk about that in a moment. But what are you going to get? Right? There are rewards for your patronage. First thing, of course, and I don't have the tiers worked out, nor do I have the dollar values. I'll do another post once that's all worked out. I'm trying to make it really fair and give you a good value for your dollar. Just really trying to do that. So there's no pricing structure yet, but we are going to get our early episodes. So every episode releases on a Monday, as you know. For patrons, they will release on Friday. So if you are, going on a weekend trip, or if you're working around the house or doing yard work and you're listening to podcasts, you'll be able to listen starting Friday instead of Monday. You'll also receive some name mentions during the show. So throughout the show, I'll just give a little thank you to my patrons. If you have a quick thing to plug, I'm happy to do that here as well in this space, a quick Twitter bio or a website. Always happy to do that for my patrons. That will adjust if more and more patrons join, but that is going to be a part of this process. You're also going to get 2 extra shows, 2 extra patron-only podcasts. 2, count them. The first one, I don't have a working name for this. I'm just calling it Games My Aunt Found. And I cribbed that from, of course, Games My Mom Found. Basically, what the idea is that everyone has a family member when they were a kid who got them random games from the bargain bin. I have tons of these in my collection as a kid. So each show, I'll be talking about one of those games. I'll probably play a little bit, reconnect with it, what works, what doesn't work. Maybe have a guest on, maybe my brother, my best friend, someone who we can just pop on and chat about these strange games in the NES library. And the second show, I'm actually really excited about. I've always wanted to do this, but it never substantiated its own show. It's a show about walking simulators. I think walking simulators are fascinating. There are these interesting intersections between gameplay and movies and cinema. And where does the line begin? Where does the line end? It's a very interesting just form of video game play. So that will be a show. Every episode, we're just going to talk about a walking sim, What Remains of Edith Finch, Gone Home. I also want to incorporate some non-traditional gameplay type of episodes. For example, maybe Up to the Moon or like Her Story. I love this genre, and I've played a lot of these. I have a game I'm playing now, fitfully called Coin Game. It's about playing in an arcade, and you just play in the arcade. It's great. Play arcade games. So I want to talk about these different experiences and especially some of the lesser known ones that you may have heard of. Also, with these 2 extra shows, you are going to get your own private RSS feed for them. You're not going to have to go on patreon.com to download the episodes or listen to them. If you become a patron for that tier, you'll receive a private link to your own RSS feed that has not only the extra shows, but all of the old shows will be on there and the new shows coming out on Friday as promised via that tier, which is great because that you can just go to that one place on your pod player of choice and check out your patron-only feed. So you wouldn't use the existing one, you would use the new one. So yay for that. Hooray for that. Makes this easier. I've had patrons, I've been patron of people who just do the Patreon thing, and I end up not using the perk because I have to go to a different site or system. And I figured this is just easier for everybody. And then finally, if for a higher tier, it will be a pretty high tier, you can also executive produce a show. So you get to dictate what I talk about, when I talk about it, and you get to basically suggest a show. Obviously, if it's really weird or creepy, I'm not going to do it. So if you want a show about Japanese dating simulators, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but we'll work together to figure out a show that you really want to hear as an executive producer. So what am I going to do with this money? I'm going to improve my gear, hopefully. I'm going to defray some of the costs of this show. Everything here costs money. The hosting costs money. The software I use to record these things costs money. I think, and I'm still researching how to do the RSS feed, I think that's going to cost money. So there's just costs involved, and getting an opportunity to defray some of those would be really, really great. I want to go to a convention at some point. I would love to be able to go to a convention. I know exactly what I would do there, and it would be so fun and so great. Make for some really good episodes. It makes for some really good content. And I'd also like to donate. If we get a certain amount or reach a certain level of patronage where it's a regular steady income, I'd like to start donating to different causes and giving back a bit, because I think that is important. It's something I don't do enough of, and I think it'd be good to involve a community of people to get behind a cause. I can't do that now because I can't give $3 to Austin Pets Alive or something, but that is in the works. That it's not just going to be me. I'll say profiting. I'm not going to profit from this. I don't expect to become rich and famous. I just want to see this project through to its end, to the conclusion, whatever that looks like. So to recap, shows, sadly, going down to every 2 weeks instead of once a week. It's going to hurt all my numbers. It's going to hurt my listenership, but I have to do that for work-life balance, and I have to do that for to make sure this sticks around and make sure I don't get burnt out on it. Streaming on Twitch every Tuesday at 8:30 CST. Join me for a really fun stream where we're going to hang out, chat, play games, and just have a good time. Literally, our Patreon / A Gamer Looks at 40. No pricing structure, but you are going to receive or have the opportunity to receive, based on the tier you sign up for, early episodes, Fridays instead of Monday, name mentions and thank yous during the show, 2 extra shows, one about those cruddy games you got from family members, and a second focusing on non-traditional interactive game experiences. And that's the story. That is a story. Thank you so much for listening to the show. When I first started it, I expected about, 10 downloads an episode. If I got 10 or 15 regular downloads, I would be really happy. Right now, we're at about 40 to 50 after a week of release, which is great. It's humbling. And I hope the show lives up to your expectations and is well worth your time. And I hope it continues to be well worth your time. Thank you again for checking out the show, and have an amazing new year.